Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so very much for taking some time and listening to our podcast. I want to take a moment and remind you guys we are on Instagram and also TikTok. You can find us very simply by typing in Andale Run, and you will see a running pepper, jalapeno pepper. So that is us. And also, we are on YouTube and on Spotify and Apple. And what would help greatly is if you would take a moment and to rate our podcast, even follow and share it with somebody else. That would help us tremendously in just getting the word out and wanting to be able to share what's going on here in our world. So again, thank you so much for taking time, and I am excited to have our guest on. I just want to say before Abe introduces him, I hope I'm able to match his energy. I love it so far. So just from our small conversation we had beforehand. So Abe, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest today?
Yeah, so I am extremely excited. I have the privilege of hearing him speak at a camp over the summer, and it really like showed me like what running is about, and he's a very inspiring person. If you've ever talked to him or get to talk to him one on one, it's hard not to feel fired up afterwards. So he's one of the most enthusiastic people I've ever met. He has six IHSA state trophies with Rockford Christian over track and cross country. This is Coach Randy Moore.
Well, welcome to this podcast, Coach Randy Moore. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. Jose, Abe, thanks so much for having me. I'm huge fan of your guys' content and Andale Run, and I've been looking forward to this all day. This is my daughter's birthday today, and I'm more hyped about like having this conversation. So, no, I'm pumped, man. Let's get into it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we'll edit that part out in case your daughter listens. Oh goodness. Well, it's great to have you with us, Coach. And Abe was sharing with me at the camp. He didn't go into all the story, but he said he thought it'd be good if you would share with us a little bit of like how did you get into running? Why did you get into it? Or was it inspiration? Was it somebody who pushed you into it? What's going on there?
Sure, yeah. Boy, that's really a defining, kind of story and part of my life. Um, Growing up, I was an Army brat, and over the course of 4 years, I ended up going to four different schools, and my family kind of settled in Rockford, and kind of next thing you know, I didn't really make very many close connections, and really found kind of myself the target of some pretty rough bullying. So much so that one day I kind of came home and asked my parents, "Hey, is there maybe someplace else I can go to school?" And sure enough, my parents looked around, and Rockford Lutheran was a school that one of our neighbors was having a pretty good experience at. And so, of course, I took a campus visit, loved it. My bullies weren't there, so like terrific, let's go. And then and then the first day of school in eighth grade came around, and wouldn't you know it, all of my tormentors were at Lutheran. They had either been expelled or their parents had pulled them from the public school as punishment to kind of straighten them out. And all of the abuse that I had experienced in seventh grade in the locker rooms and in the hallways, boy, it just started all back up again. And it was
Yeah.
pretty rough, time in my life. I remember saying, God, what are you doing to me here? I thought I had escaped. And 2 weeks went by, and I'd become very introverted, hadn't made a single friend, and I'm in Spanish class, and one of my bullies turns around, sitting next to me, and says, "Moore, you're such a loser, man. We've been here for 2 weeks. I'll bet you don't have a single friend." Well, I couldn't just take that, right? So I lied, and I said, yeah, I have a friend, and there's really only one kid I knew by name. His last name was Mullencup. My last name was Moore. So his locker was next to mine. We were next to each other in a lot of classes. And I said, real quiet. I said, yeah, Jamie, Jamie's my friend. Now, what I didn't know at the time was Jamie was the most popular kid in school. He was starting quarterback, point guard on the basketball team, fastest kid in school, and played football with, this kid who was, tormenting me. And immediately, my bully calls me out and says, Jamie, are you friends with this loser? In a moment that forever changed the trajectory of my life, Jamie turned around in his seat and he said, yeah, he's my friend. So why don't you leave him alone? We weren't friends. We quickly became friends after that. I was never Jamie's best friend, but he was always mine. And not long after that, we're, in the middle of the school year, and my mom bought me a new pair of running shoes. Now, I wasn't a runner. They were on sale, and I'm wearing them around school. And Jamie comes up to me and says, "Dude, I love those shoes, man. Are you gonna do track?" I don't know, Jamie. Are you gonna do track? He's like, "Yeah, I do track. You should totally do it." And so I said, "Yep, I guess I'm doing track." And I immediately took to it. Had an awesome experience running junior high track, and our team took second in state that year, and our 4x1s and 4x2s were amazing, and it changed the whole trajectory of my life. Wow. How I got into running, and it's a big reason why to this day, when I see somebody wearing a cool pair of shoes, I'm like, man, I love those shoes. Are you going to do track? Yeah, it's just part of them.
Wow. So it sounds like really the track team was like a safe haven for you, or became a safe haven for you. Is that would you agree with that?
Yeah, very, very much so. Track was probably the first place I kind of found my people, my thing. And I felt really for the first time a sense of accomplishment, and that hard work and seeing it pay off and finding success, and getting attention from other people for doing something special. I found acceptance and camaraderie. And Lutheran's track team wasn't anything special or great. It was pretty small when I was in high school, but that really kind of drove and propelled me to want to pursue track and field. I went to a great program in college, Augustana, and was part of a 100-man track team, and was tutored by a Hall of Fame coach and Paul Olson, and that experience both in high school and college, that's what really propelled me to want to be a high school teacher and coach. I've always wanted to use the English classroom and track and cross country as a means to love people, to help teenagers feel acceptance, feel belonging, know that they matter. And I do it in English. I try to do it in the English classroom. I try to do it in track and cross country. And I hope that when I'm at my best, that I do just that. It's not just about times and places, but it's about love and acceptance, and helping people find that belonging and that purpose.
Yeah. So with that, how do you as a coach help foster a family kind of atmosphere, supportive of each other? How do you foster that in cross country and in track?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's developing authentic relationships, right? Just letting the kids be themselves, right? And me being me. A teenager can spot a phony a mile away.
Right.
If I'm not authentic, if I'm not real, if I'm not my genuine self, that's not attractive. People aren't drawn to that. And so I just try to be me. And then I try to encourage the kids on the team. Hey, whoever you are, I'm in. One of the very first things I'll say to any kid that joins Rockford Christian Track or Cross Country, your dreams are now my dreams for you. So you tell me what you want. You tell me what sets your heart on fire. What event do you want to do, or what do you hope to achieve, or what do you want out of life? And you know what? Now I'm all in. Whatever that thing is, I'm here to help you with that. And so I would like to think that that's probably the best part of Rockford Christian Track and Cross Country. And
Yeah.
that's how we develop that sense of belonging. Step one, let's have a real, authentic relationship.
Mm. So so with that, like, a kid comes to you and it says, "Hey, like, I really want to run, we'll say the 1600." And they go out, they're doing it, but then you see something else, and you're like, well, maybe this kid really could be maybe a 400 guy or an 800 guy. So how do you go about like navigating that with that particular student?
Sure. Well, I guess I got two answers for that. One, um, if a kid's dream is to be a 100-meter runner, I'm in, man. Let's go for it. Uh, 7 years ago, we had a kid who was an amazing pole vaulter, Jonathan Thomas. Great pole vaulter, was vaulting 11.6 as a freshman. And I'm
Wow.
thinking, man, this kid's going to be great. He's going to be an all-stater. We're going to get him up over 14 feet one day. He just took to it, and he was amazing. At the end of his freshman year, he comes to me after the banquet and says, "Coach, I don't want to pole vault." What? You don't want to pole vault? Jonathan, you're amazing. He's like, it doesn't set my heart on fire. He's like, I want to be a sprinter. I want to be 100, 200 meter, 400 meter sprinter, and I want to be all state in those relays. So, whoa, Jonathan, like we're returning 3 out of 4 guys from last year's, all state school record, relays. I don't know, man. I don't see it, but he's like, "Coach, I hate the pole vault. I don't want to do it." And I said, "Okay, Jonathan, your dreams are my dreams for you. Let's go all in for sprints." And guess what? Jonathan's senior year, he sets the school record on the 4x1, 4x2, and is all state in the 4x4. So part of me is like, who am I to tell a kid who they can or can't be? If it's their dream, like I said, I'm all in. And whether a kid ends up splitting 10.5 or 49.9, or maybe they only end up running 56, point for the 4x4, it's really
Yeah.
irrelevant. For me, it's the process. It's the journey together, trying to climb that mountain. That's the fun part. So often I don't discourage guys from it. If they say,
Okay.
"This is what I want to be, is who I want to be," like, cool, I'm all in. Now, that being said, you still have to perform. We only have 2 spots on, a sectional roster. We've only got 4 guys that can run, the 4x1 or the 4x8.
Yeah.
And so some of the times, right, the workouts kind of indicate, well, I know you kind of show, potential over here, and I know that you want to do this thing over here, but let's look at the numbers. Like you're running, 105 10-meter flies, and you're running 10-minute miles when you're on your 3-mile run. Maybe you're not a distance runner. So trying to use data to help guys. But by and large, like I said, we'll do what the kid wants to do for the most part.
Mm.
That's really good, Coach. I think if we could rewind for a second, I think you said something about like embracing the everyday, like the grind, the journey. And I remember that's a big part of what you were talking about at camp, like embracing the journey, being there every day. So what's something like practical that you do like with your guys to stay grounded during the season and to stay like in the moment?
Boy, we talk about it, right? We talk about it when you can't help, especially when you're having a pretty good season, and the rankings are coming out and you're winning meets or whatever. You can't help but naturally think about the summit, right? You think about like, oh, what if, Coach, do you think I can run 15:15? Coach, do you think that we can, be a trophy team? And my response is, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, fellas, but here's what I do know. I know we've got a 10-mile run today, and we've got to nail that. So let's not think about like what we're going to achieve. Let's think about how we can be great in this workout right now, whatever that entails. And so kind of redirecting, that mindset away from the outcome and Like, what do we need to do right at this moment for this workout or for this race or for this part of the recovery, right? If that conversation comes up and we're doing hurdle mobility, acknowledge, yeah, cool. Yeah, the rankings were awesome. Yeah, fellas, I'm not going to lie. It would be amazing if we were a trophy team. But right now, the only way for us to get there is we've got to be dialed in when we're doing hurdle mobility. That will be the thing, right, at this moment that we actually have control over to make sure that our bodies are healthy and then we're ready for the next workout or the next race. And so it's that constant, like, acknowledging that something is possible, but then, okay, but how? What is the step at this moment that we need to do to continue the climb up, if that makes sense, Abe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's more in season staying grounded. And I think you mentioned earlier, like that fire, that drive. So how does that does your mentality really change at all? Or like, in the off season when you're not really building towards anything specifically at that moment, does your mentality change at all like in the off season, and how do you keep your runners motivated?
That's the thing, Abe. I mean, we're always climbing.
Yeah.
We're always, the journey stops right at the end of cross country. And then we acknowledge that at the end of, and celebrate and enjoy the view from the top of the mountain, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's important. But then as soon as that banquet is over and the guys have their, anywhere between 7 to 14 days off, like we are right back on the climb. We are right back into the journey. And whether that's, starting our speed school or rebuilding our base mileage or just getting together and getting back into the routine. It's always about the journey for us. And one of the reasons why that's easy to maintain in some ways is because when you're focused on the step that you're on right now, rather than the outcome, you get to immediately be happy. You get immediate satisfaction. We don't have to wait until the racing season starts to begin having fun. We don't have to wait until we qualify at the sectional meet to celebrate. We don't have to wait to feel validated if we're on the podium or not. If we're focused on how and why we're going through that journey together in that moment, there's immediate satisfaction. There's immediate fun. There's immediate relationship building or support or reaching down to pick another guy up. So that's how we maintain it. Because we don't have to be on the roller coaster of emotions of, I had a good race, so we're building toward our goal. I had a bad race, therefore, we're not going to get to the podium. We're free from that. We've surrendered the outcome and just get to focus on enjoying the experience and that whatever that thing is right then and there. And yeah, it's a big part of our culture. I think it's what makes us, maybe unique as a track and cross country program.
Coach, you said about maybe not having the best race, right? I mean, every athlete, whether cross country, track, or any other sport, you're not going to have every game is not going to be 100 points or you have PR or whatever. So when you do have an athlete that maybe is disappointed that they didn't get a certain PR that they wanted to get during a run or during a race, and you see that they are pretty distraught or pretty let down about it, like how do you approach that athlete? How do you encourage them? What do you do in that moment?
Yeah, first and foremost, I treat them like a person. We can acknowledge disappointment and frustration. And so if I have an athlete that either underperforms or is disappointed with her performance, whatever it happens to be, how I feel about it is irrelevant in that moment. It's how the athlete feels. And so frequently I will come alongside the athlete and say, it's okay to feel your feelings. Tell me about it. What's going on with you? Tell me about how you feel. Help me understand, right? Let me be a voice. Let me be a sounding board. Let me be somebody that you can talk to. And there's no judgment. There's no evaluation. Man, yeah, I hear you. It stinks. And I feel bad for you. I genuinely, I have been there. My myself, other Rockford Christian kids have been there, or maybe this is a unique situation, and just to be there to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And then after some time goes by, and you kind of evaluate that based off of how the kid is responding, and who they are in your relationship with them. You come back to it, whether that's 10 minutes later or 48 hours later, and you remind them, you are not defined by your athletic performance.
Mm.
Your value is not based off of what you achieve athletically. You are not performance bound. You are loved and you are accepted. You have value as a person and as a runner. That has nothing to do with running. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, everyone would prefer to be great, right? It feels good, but that's not where we find our value, and where we find our purpose. And so I'll remind the athlete of that, and say, all right, so if your value is rooted in who you are, not in what you do, what happens to your anxiety? What happens to your depression? What happens to that stress? It dissipates. It's gone.
Yeah.
Now you are free then to continue on the journey. We also talk about a philosophy within our program that we call E plus R equals O. We do not have control over the events that happen to us, but we do have control over our responses to them, and that can alter the outcome. Event plus response equals outcome. Now, I'm not going to, be Pollyanna here. Like, that doesn't mean that the outcome is always ideal. Right. It just means that you have some control over altering it. So if you view everything that happens to you as a person, as a student, as an athlete, is happening in your own best interest, that I can do something to modify the outcome, to make the experience. So now I take control over it, and for the better. How can you stop me? You're not going to stop Rockford Christian if everything that happens to us we view as something that we can alter or modify or twist or respond to make us better. And that's how I talk to kids about disappointment. And believe me, there's been lots of them. We've had failures and disappointments in terms of achievement or outcomes at Rockford Christian, but we keep on pushing and we keep on climbing up that mountain together.
Yeah. That's really well said. Because one of the things I've said this in other podcasts, and I wholeheartedly believe it. That you're not. Now I forgot how I said it. You're running is something you do. It's not who you are.
Correct.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like that. So, because a lot of athletes will, of course, tie up their identity in what they're doing as far as whatever sport they may be playing or participating in.
Yeah.
And so
it's a double-edged sword, because when you first begin to get good at your sport, right, when you first get into running and, hey, I put this work in, and you see your PRs improve and you're running fast, like I've been there too. Like, your self-esteem soars, right? Man, I worked hard. I achieved my goal. I feel good about myself. Cool. But if you make that thing your identity and your sense of worth or value from it, well, what's the other side of that sword? Well, if I underperform or I don't achieve,
right,
or I'm injured, now I'm depressed, right? Because I don't have value. I'm no good. I'm not contributing to the team. I'm not running fast. So then, right? And you see this, right? Even when we're doing everything right, and even when we have our heads screwed on straight, right, we fall into that trap. One of the things I talk to our athletes about, in a very similar way, running is a good thing. We get ourselves in trouble when we make running an ultimate thing. Relationships, faith, love, God, these things are ultimate things. Running is something that we do. It's a good thing, not an ultimate thing. We don't want to make it an ultimate thing in our life because running will fail us. It will let us down.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's really good because uh, we it was Max Weber. We had a conversation with Max Weber, and we were talking a little bit about how, if we have the right perspective, we can see, well, this maybe in this full scheme of things, this is but like a small, small moment in my life that, has so many other moments in it. And so whether that's winning, you're winning it and you're feeling great, or if it's like, you're not achieving what you wanted to. And if you have that perspective, that good perspective, you can see those moments are it's just a moment in your life that hopefully is long and good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I could, chime in, talking about maybe, things don't go right. You mentioned, you get injured, you're underperforming, you're doing whatever. I remember just, you talking at camp, a phrase you always repeated was surrender to the outcome.
hmm
So, I would assume, in your own program, you say that to your athletes a lot. And what does that exactly mean to you in running?
Yeah. Yeah. Great question, Abe. So when a soldier enters into battle, what's the thing that's going to overwhelm that soldier? I
Got
have
it.
to live,
Oh.
right? I have to survive. And the irony in that is if you say, I must live, if you're so afraid, you become paralyzed and you can't do your duty. The soldier that can't follow instructions and do the tasks is more likely to die because he or she would be paralyzed by fear. The soldier that enters into battle and says, I don't have control over whether I live or die or not.
Mm.
I have to surrender that. I have to turn that over and recognize that I don't have control over whether I live or die. Only that person then is free to do their duty.
Mm.
Now, that doesn't guarantee survival, but if you can do your tasks and focus on what you're doing, the odds are more likely in your favor. And so what does that mean for a runner? If you walk into a race and you say, I must fill in the blank, I must win, I must run X time, I must beat this person, that's paralyzing,
Mm.
right? You don't have control over those things. And so within Rockford Christian's program, we don't like to talk about, you know, time constraints or time goals. We're more process driven. We say you don't have control over what time you run in a 3 mile race. You can go out there, and you've been there, right? And do
Mm.
everything right, or feel like you're doing everything right, trying to do everything right, and you don't see the time that you want. So it's an illusion. We only really have control over two things when we're out there racing: our attitude and our effort. When you surrender the outcome and say, I don't have control what place I finish in, there's no defense in track and field, there's no
Yeah.
defense in cross country, there's only offense. I can't stop somebody else from having a great day. When you surrender that outcome, that frees you to focus on the two things you do have control over: attitude and effort. And then what tends to happen to your performance?
Gets better.
Turns out to be pretty good. And
Yeah.
even if it's not, you can be happy in the moment because you can say, you know what? I executed my race plan. I remained positive. I honored my family. I honored myself. I honored my God through how I raced.
Mm.
And I'm going to get another opportunity at another time, or I'm going to learn from my mistakes. So again, that surrender to the outcome, the journey is the goal, how and why, they're all interrelated, right? It's all process driven, allowing you to focus on the moment rather than on the outcome. That help?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good, Coach. So what it kind of changing gears just a little bit here. I'm interested to hear uh, what your philosophy or what your take is on. Um, so, you have, because you coach just the high school, is that my understanding? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Hmm.
Okay. All right. So the 4 years that the athlete is with you, they start as a freshman. Of course, they finish their senior year. What are you hoping that individual will take away that they can apply to their life from the sport of running, from being under you, in your program? What do you think are some of those things that you hope they take away?
Oh, great question. Not to be too, redundant. I hope that they would um, have found a place, friendships, coaches, competitors, where they had a sense of belonging, that where
Mm,
they felt loved and accepted. Along with that, I would hope that um, they learn discipline. And that's another big saying within our program: discipline over default.
mm,
We all have impulses, default settings in our life that we kind of like immediately snap to. Some of those default settings can be good. Most of them aren't, at least for myself. And so we have to learn how to hit the pause button
mhm,
and say, all right, who is it that I really want to be?
mm.
And then choose a disciplined response to become more like that person. And so I would hope that that might be the most important lesson that Rockford Christian athletes would take away is um, just that discipline over default. Think about, who do I really want to be as a person? Don't
Mm.
respond impulsively to negative factors or to stressors, and evaluate um, what choice will bring me closer to the person that I want to be. And there's application to that in everything, in marriage and in work and in running and in school, in it all. So, what kind of
Yeah.
husband do I? Kind of father do I want to be? So when I'm stressed out and somebody in my family does something that irks me, wait a minute, rather than responding by raising my temper or yelling or whatever else. Okay, I got to hit the pause button and think, what kind of father do I really want to be? Okay,
Yeah.
I want to be passionate. I want to be loving. I want to be someone who's supportive to my children. I want them to feel like they can come to me even with small or trivial things, and dad's going to listen to them. So hitting that pause button and learning that disciplined response. Um, yeah, I think that when Rockford Christian, when we're at our best, that's maybe one of the best things that kids walk away with.
Yeah, that's so good, Coach. Because I'm in school right now. I'm working to become a therapist, and one of the things that I have learned not only from reading but also from like different podcasts and things. Some people say it differently, but what you said, pause. Some may refer to like as a reset. Like you're in a moment and you're just like, oh, I just need to reset real quick. And see what's going on because in reality with these young athletes they're building their brain and they're building those neurons and all the things that are happening there, so they're creating that habit, and they keep doing it and doing it and doing it. If it's the wrong habit and they get older, it's going to be more difficult to break that and start a new one because they have to rework that brain part of whatever it is that they're doing. And so, I mean, that's why it's incredibly difficult for addicts um, be sober. For it's not impossible, but it's incredibly hard to do so because they have to rewire their brain. Essentially, is what's going on. And so, hopefully, in your program, in any other students, they're wiring their brain in a good way to be able to continue on with good disciplines and habits. You know.
Yeah, and I agree, and I'm a flawed man myself,
Mm.
and I wish I could say I model that behavior of discipline over default all the time. I don't, uh,
Yeah.
but it's still good for my athletes to see me in that moment, right? And so
Mhm.
I have to then come back and then model to them. All right, yeah, coach loss is cool.
Yep.
Sorry, I should hit the pause button there. I didn't. I hope you guys
Yep.
can forgive. and then we talk about it and then move on.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of forgiveness in our program for Rockford Christian athletes, and the reason why that's easy to do is because I've been forgiven a lot too. So
Yeah.
when you make mistakes, it's and people forgive you for those errors, then it becomes much more it becomes easier to have compassion for others. And so yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And what you said there about like, you know, we're all human, and we're all going to have moments of maybe regret. Uh, when we can acknowledge that and then go back and try to correct it, and especially letting that be a model in front of your athletes, the younger athletes, and they can see, oh, well, coach does that. Maybe I should do that.
Yeah,
So
that's
that,
the whole thing, right? Rather than walking away
yeah.
and saying, "Well, coach is a real jerk today, huh?"
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's awesome to hear. And so with that, coach, we're over our time, but that's okay because
Okay.
I'm enjoying this conversation. One of the things we do like to do here is that we like to try to get to know the person a little bit more by just asking some questions, some fun questions, and kind of see, you know, what happens with those questions. So
All right.
the first
Right
one,
on.
okay, first one is, how many times have you heard 6'7"?
Oh my gosh. Too many times.
Too many times, 6 or 7 times.
Yeah, six or
Yeah,
seven thousand.
yeah. All right. So, all right, on your playlist right now, what is maybe what's the artist that you're listening to the most right now, or your top three songs?
Oh boy. I don't listen to a whole lot of music these days, so it's
Okay,
mostly podcasts and audiobooks. So
okay,
if I were to go to, my playlist, it's uh, boy, I'm reading a book right now, listening to a book by John Scalise called Head Off. It's kind of science fictiony.
okay,
Um, Andale Run, and then I have an app that I listen to every day called Halo,
okay,
which has devotions and meditation and music. So those are kind of like my top three in terms of what's
okay.
playing on my phone on a regular basis right now.
All right. Hey, Abe, did you hear that? We are on Coach's podcast list that
Yeah,
he listens
top
to
three.
regularly. So yes, you
Yeah.
get a big andale. All right. So this one, uh, if you had to choose to be on one of these teams, which one would you rather be on? So would you rather be on the Marvel side team or on DC team?
Uh, Boy, that's a tough one. Um, I like Batman. I got to go DC. I'm a Batman
Okay.
guy.
You're Batman.
Nice.
Batman. What do you have a favorite Batman movie you've seen?
Uh, Boy, the Dark Knight is probably
Hmm.
Okay.
probably my yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
number one.
I have to
Yeah,
say
Yes.
that's my
Yes.
favorite too. I think Heath Ledger had a really good performance in that movie as the Joker. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
I
Yeah.
think it's the first
Definitely.
one I saw with you,
Definitely.
Dad. So
Yeah. I mean, it was. It's definitely one of
good
the
movie.
the better. I think. Well, in my view, it's the best Batman movie I have I have seen. So
Mm.
that's a good one. All right. And so then, last question, Coach, is what is what would you say is your go-to snack? Like you gotta have like this is your snack you go to when you just want to munch something or whatever it may be. What is your go-to snack?
I got to go with Mike and Ike's.
Mike
Yeah,
and Ike's.
Mike and Ike's. Yeah, very addictive. Yep.
Okay.
If we're on a bus ride home, and I'm driving, we're gonna stop and gas up the bus, and I'm popping Mike and Ike's on the way home.
Have students like giving you like like loads of Mike and Ike's?
No, no.
No?
Uh, it's mostly just cash.
All right. So if any of your students are listening, this would be a great thing to give Coach. It's some Mike and Ike's. I'm sure he'll thoroughly enjoy those at any moment. Uh, so, um, so Coach, so with cross country season now over for you guys, because you're not doing any postseason races, are you?
No.
No. Okay. So now you turn your eyes over to indoor track. Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah.
So
Uh, what? So is there? What do you know, or do you have an idea what your first indoor meet would be?
yeah, our first indoor meet will be the Jerry Lowe Invite at Rockford Auburn on February 8th, I believe.
Okay. Okay. So you won't have any students participating in the I think it's called the Misfits. Is that right? The
You know,
indoor.
over the last couple of years, we've had guys choose to participate in Misfits. It's not something that I drive them to or take them to. Although I will
Okay.
be there, 'cause I'll drive my daughter and my son to that Misfit event, and I think there's another Tracksmith one as well.
Okay.
So I will definitely be there with my own children, and I'm sure I'll see Dixon guys and Pat kids and Rockford Christian
Mhm.
kids there as well.
Yep.
But in terms of Rockford Christian, training and approach. I very much view that February 8th meet. That's the start of the Rockford Christian season.
Okay. All right. It's a good deal. Well, hopefully, I think we may be participating in the Misfits indoor track there and everything. So if we do, we will see you in person and everything. And so, um, you know what, Coach? I have to ask, would you be willing to come on again at a later date?
Oh, I would love to. That'd be fantastic. Thank you for
Yeah.
the invite.
Awesome. Yes, yes. Well, we would love to have you again at a later date and everything because I know Simon wants to come back on. At least I think he does. He did a really good job when he was on and everything, and so he said he was pretty excited to be on his first podcast with us. So hopefully there'll be many more.
Well, look forward
So.
to it.
Yeah. So, Coach, thank you again so much for your time, and we really do appreciate the encouragement and the conversation that you had with us, and look forward to having you on again in the future. And so, for those of you who taken time to listen, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. Please remember that we are on TikTok and also Instagram. You can find us at Andale Run, also on YouTube. And don't forget to hit that follow button and share with your friends and family the podcast. It would help us out greatly. Thank you so much. And for your weekly reminder, whatever you're doing this week, do it with gusto and andale. So we'll talk to you guys later.